All right, shalom, shalom. It's the brothers from GMS Chicago. I was making a quick sit down. And first and foremost, we're going to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And salutations to all Yaki and pushing this truth and sincerity. Give me 1 second. Let me see something real quick. Yaki. Okay. And go ahead, brother. You lead it out.
Oh, okay. This is Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. And the Most High said, the powers, no?
Okay. Well,
yeah.
we read verbatim. I could get the exact one. We'll see. Slocky.
Or should we do verbatim? Because it might be too much meat for some people at that time.
God, that's Elohim and the powers.
Yeah, the powers, yeah. So Genesis 1 and 14. And the powers said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. So these lights in the skies, that's a real timepiece, and that's what we're supposed to be observing since the beginning. Since this is the beginning here, we're in Genesis.
Yeah, that's what the Most High made it for, man, for like a declaration of the times. That not to be worshipped, because you have the heathens, of all shit, the heathens of Israel and the actual heathens who are, they'll worship the sun and moon, but it's simply just put up there, for a clock, basically.
Hey, just like when you go back into the day, what they had the clock on the ground.
Oh, sundial.
The sundial,
yeah.
All right, and they used the sun and the moon, for the sundial.
Come. And that word moon goes into month, so that's how it goes back into time. Because everything's broken up into the months and days and years.
Let me get that one. Sirach 43.
Oh, I think the brother got it. You got it?
Con. This is Sirach 43, starting at verse 3. It says at noon in the departure the country, and who can abide the burning heat thereof? A man burneth. It's like it was 43. Verse 3.
It's verse 40. Oh no, it's chapter 43, verse 6 through 9.
It's like it. This is 43 and verse 6. It says, "He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times, and a sign of the world. For the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection." so like it. The month is called after her name. It says, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. It says, the beauty of heaven and the glory of the stars. It says, an ornament giving light in the highest places of the Lord.
So it's basically that word moon. It goes back into month, and of course, when you say the new, it's the word I believe is mona, which is month, and when you say the new moon, that's the new month. That's how we get the Passover. There's of course the Shabbats. It's based off the new moon, and you have the crescent. It makes its crescents. Of course, the full moon is going to be the middle of the month, and that completely black darked out moon, that's your new moon. So you count your days out, 6 days, that 7th day. Is it going to be your new moon? Of course, when the new moon comes, and that's how you know your Shabbats.
That's right.
Let me see.
Hey, I was just gonna say, like the scripture has said, it says from the moon and the signs. It's like from the moon is the sign of the feast, and like when you go into that word feast, it just means appointed time. All right, so like when the moon go down on one day, it could be the Passover. When the moon go down another day, it could be the Shabbat. The moon give us the appointed times of feasts, man. Of holidays and everything that we do, days, basically just days, And
then the one thing you don't see is I believe it's all Greek, and I believe it's all Greek. The like the words like Saturday, Sunday, you don't see those, because we counted the days. That's how we got our months. Of course we counted from the new moon, and that's average Jake in church will tell you that Sunday is gonna be the holy day. Some of them say it's the Saturday to the Sunday, but if the new moon, yes, the new moon can fall on a so-called Saturday night to Friday night. I mean, it's like a Saturday night to Sunday night, and it will be the actual Shabbat, but it's based off when the new moon falls, not just every other day. It's the every other weekend. It's the Shabbat. You know, that's not how it works, man. Because even when you had what's called the Gregorian calendar and the
that's what we live by today.
What's the second one? The I think it starts with an A. The it pretty much, it was two calendars, and one of them had 8 days. You know, because during the time of the Greeks, they messed up the times. You know what I mean? They messed up the days. They had, I believe, 8, 9 days in a month, in a week at one point in time. So, even now, you know, with the famine of the word and all these prophecies coming to pass, we know, technology, you know, the world as you know it today is going to stop. And that's going to be the way you really tell time, is by looking at the moon and the sun. You know, the sun for the hours or whatnot, and the moon for the days.
That's right.
Let me see.
I got 2 Chronicles here. Is that if I can bring that up?
Let me finish this one real quick. This back in Sirach 43. It says,
okay.
I'm gonna get verse 8. It says, the month is also called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument to the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven, the beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars, an ornament giving light in the highest places of the Lord Yahweh. At the commandment of the Holy One, they would stand in their watch. It's like it says, at the commandment of the Holy One, they will stand in their order and never faint in their watches. So yeah, they're not gonna be off, man. Like how these calendars today are completely off, man. We don't even really know if we in the year 2017. But as far as telling time by the counting, it's not off. And that's how we were supposed to observe the holy days, the Passover, the Sabbath, and whatnot.
That's right.
Go ahead, brother. What was
this is 2 Chronicles chapter 2, verse 4. Behold, I build a house to the name of Yahweh my power, to dedicate it to him, and to burn before him sweet incense, and for the continual showbread, and for the burnt offerings morning and evening, on the Sabbaths, and on the new moons, and on the solemn feasts of Yahweh our power. This is an ordinance forever to Israel.
Good.
So this is something we have to observe forever, you know, from generation to generation, you know.
And they say on the new moon, you know, because that's what you would call the, let me see if I get that precept real quick. Where it talks about the traditions of men.
Oh, let me see.
Let me see if I can search it. I think, let's see. I want to say it's like in either Timothy, it's going to be up there.
The traditions of men?
Let's see if I pull it up.
So, this is what I got in here.
Yeah, go ahead and read that one. Colossians 2:8.
This is Colossians chapter 2, verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Hamashiach.
Yeah, so that celebrating the Sabbath or whatnot on the that Friday, that Saturday to Sunday shit, that's a tradition of men, man. That's really the worship of I believe what, Saturnalia, that Saturn or whatnot.
Yeah, worship of Saturn. Yeah.
That's really witchcraft, man. To keep it simple, but that's a tradition of this world, man. And it tells you, hey, the lust of this world is gonna pass away, man. We gotta, how the scriptures say, worship Yahweh Shai in truth and sincerity, man. Oh. So how do you do that? You gotta observe how holy they is, the way they were meant.
I got one for you. This is Isaiah 66:22. It says, "As for the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me. It says, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Shabbat to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord." Alright? And so, and that's showing that the moon is a time of a feast, man. Like feast goes into the word, appointed time. And one of them is the Shabbat, man. You know? like the scripture said. It says from one new moon to another, from one Shabbat to another. Comparing them as the same thing.
Okay. What was the next one we grab out?
I think it's I got another example is in 1 Samuel chapter 20, verses 5, 18, and 27.
Okay. This 1 Samuel chapter 20 verse 5. It says, "And David said unto Jonathan, Behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king and meat. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the field until the third day at even." It says, "If thy father at all miss me, then say, David earnestly asked leave of me, that he might run to Bethlehem his city, for there is a yearly sacrifice there for all the family." It says, if he say thus, "It is well, thy servant shall have peace," but if he be very rough, then be sure that evil is determined by him. Therefore thou shalt deal kindly with thy servant, for thou hast brought thy servant into the covenant of the Lord Yahweh with thee. Notwithstanding, if there be any iniquity, slay me thyself, for why shouldest thou bring me to thy father? That was David. He was going back to Bethlehem to observe the Passover, because he was still running from Samuel, I believe. Come.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was running from Saul.
Salaki, yeah.
Saul. Because thy sea will be empty. Con. So yeah, they observed the moon, the new moon, and the moon in just period. Because if you go into Romans 15 and 4, like these things were written aforetime for our learning. These are our examples, of our forefathers, and the ordinance and the laws that they kept, Following the new moon is something that we have to keep and observe, for all generations.
Okay.
Let's see, what's another example?
I got one.
Go ahead, bro.
This is 2 Kings chapter 4, starting at verse 22. It says, "And she called unto her husband and said, Send me, it's like I'm start up. In fact, I'm just start at verse 21. It says, Salakia. I'm start at verse 22. Salakia. It says, "And she called upon her husband and said, Send me, I pray thee, one of the young men and one of the asses, that I may run to the man of God and come again. And he said, Wherefore wilt thou go to him today? It says, Is it neither new moon nor Shabbat? And she said, it says, And he said, Wherefore wilt thou go to him today? It is neither new moon nor Shabbat. And she said, It shall be well." Alright. Now, and then that's comparing the new moon with the Shabbat once again, like the scripture in Isaiah 66 and 2. Alright, because that's the order, The moon gives the days as order. Alright. And then, like the scripture says, that the Shabbat is the 7th day. Alright, so if we want to keep up with the days, we know that Esau's calendar is off, man. Alright, that he's not keeping up with the right times that was set up since the beginning. Alright, but what is the moon? Alright, like the scripture says, the moon stays in its order, that the Most High appointed it. Alright.
And we still gonna be observing the even during the time of Jacob's trouble, we still gonna be observing the Shabbat, because you had the scripture that say, "Pray not your flight be during winter or the Sabbath."
Right.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
So it's really, the Shabbat is really an ordinance forever, man. Like in the other scripture we read, and that's Sirach 43, how it says that they're gonna stand in their watches pretty much. So we still have to keep the commandments to the end, man.
Right. I mean, if I may, this is Exodus 20, verse 8 through 11. "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, to keep it separate. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahweh thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work, nor any work thou wait. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in the 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth and the sea and all that and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. So how do you keep, like verse 8 says, how do you keep the Sabbath day? You got to follow the new moon, and go from there and continue to follow the moon every week. You know what I'm saying? And count from there. Especially from the new moon. That's like the starting point. Then you count your 6 days, like verse 9 says.
It makes perfect sense too. Even just to like land back off what you were saying in that scripture, man. Like you got to remember also, like, we in captivity, man. You have to observe the Shabbat to the best of your ability. Like, of course, you may have to work on the Shabbat. You may have to like literally make food, or you'll be hungry, man. Even David, like how he said he ate the shewbread on the Shabbat, man. Yahweh Shai gave that example, like, hey, what man's like what he said, ox fall off into a ditch on the Shabbat, will he not go get it?
Right.
So you may have to do some shit on the Shabbat, like, you know what I mean? But hey, try to the best of your ability, being balanced with it. Don't be OR, but don't be over wicked. Try to observe the Shabbat to the best of your ability.
I got one.
Sure.
This is Psalms 104, and starting at verse 19. It says, He appointed the moon for seasons. It says the sun acknowledged his going down. All right. And so the Lord said He appointed the moon for seasons. All right. And how does the seasons change? By days going by the moon and the sun reversing. All right. So the moon keeps time. Seasons. All right. So it's going to tell you the time appointed for feast. Like, hey, the word feast, I'm going to keep bringing it out. It means appointed time. When you really go into it.
And them old like old movies and shit where they show you like Tribe of Gad or something, like those old cowboy movies. They be like, I'll see you in like 20 moons or something. They always like reference the moon because that's how they told. They didn't have phones or wristwatches and stuff. They had the moon.
Yeah.
They be like, all right, I'll see you in 20 new moons or 24 moons. However they, it's like that's how they said it. But yeah, that's how they did. That's the way it's ordained, man.
Hey, that's why the scripture says, "Woe unto him that make his arm his flesh," man. You got these false Israelites going off the calendar of Esau. These Israelites that want to trust in Esau's time. When they know that they got leap year. How you skip a whole day in a year? How does a whole day end up missing?
It goes back then forward somehow.
Right. Then they got daylight savings. But Jake just can't get off Esau, man, and his devices, man. Hey, but then you got some sincere brothers out there that really don't know that the Shabbat lands on the new moon. And, hopefully them brothers hit a video and be edified.
Okay. There's another example here. This is 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 32. And of the children of Issachar, who are the so-called Mexicans, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do, the heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment. So I'm bringing this out as the beginning of the scripture, but when you go down to South America, like Mexico, and going down into South America and the Caribbean, you find all these pyramids, showing you that Issachar, was in Egypt as well, because there was pyramids there, and they all line up with the constellations. You know what I mean? Perfectly. You know what I mean? So these are the men that knew and understood the times.
Because Issachar's like land back up to Issachar's a good navigator and shit.
Right.
Same thing. Like shit, you watch some old Western movies. Issachar has been navigating off the stars, man.
Pecan.
Hey, man.
I got one for y'all. This is Ezekiel 46:1. It says, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, the gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east shall be shut 6 days working. It's like it's 6 working days. But on the Shabbat it shall be opened, and in the day of the new moon it shall be opened. Alright? So it just says 6 days it shall be closed. It says, and on the Shabbat it shall be open, which the Shabbat falls on the 7th day, and it also compared. It said, in the new moon it shall be open. Alright, saying that the new moon is the Shabbat, because If it wasn't saying that, then that means it has to be 8 days for the new moon to fall somewhere else other than the Shabbat. All right, which is not possible because the Lord made 7 days when you go into Genesis. All right.
Oh, I got another example here in Leviticus 23, chapter 23, verse 24. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, so it's the first day, shall ye have a Sabbath, showing you what? That you have a new moon and a new month. They coincide together because they're the same. A memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. Convocation is a gathering together. Holy is separate, so it's just Israelites. You know what I'm saying? Getting together. For what? The memorial of blowing trumpets is an example, but these are examples of holidays that fall on the new month or on the Sabbath, and again, it's just observing the real calendar that the Most High set up for us, which is this moon, and the sun, like you were saying, for hours and all. But
shit, the Most High tell your ass shit. You get that, like, let's say you get that message. The Most High tell you that message, like, look, be here on the new moon. You going off Esau. Be here on the Shabbat, and you going off Esau's time. That chariot that fucking came like 2 days ago.
Right.
Like this is like, it's serious, man. Like,
you show up Friday night.
Yeah, you show up Friday night. The chariot was at like Wednesday night.
Like, oh shit.
But yeah, man, this is our heritage, man. Like, you got to get into this, and that's a part of being an Israelite, is observing the new moon, the high holy days, man.
God.
Let me see if I get this last scripture. Let me see. If I know where it's at.
Hey, Khan. But like that shows you, in all these scriptures we brought out, that it compared the new moon with the Shabbat, and it called the new moon the Shabbat. All right, and you ain't gonna find Saturday and Sunday nowhere in these scriptures. All right, like the scripture said, the moon is given for times and seasons, man. All right, the scripture says that every 7 days is the day of rest.
All
right, so every 7 days that you see that moon go down, all right, from the Shabbat to the next 7 days is the next Shabbat, all right, and then you work off the new moon and not off Esau's calendar.
This is like, this one I want to read this one. It says this Ecclesiasticus, which is Sirach 24. And read 22 and verse 23, it says, he that obeyeth me shall never be confounded, and they that work by me shall not do amiss. It says, all these things are the book of the covenant of the Most High Yahweh, even the law which Moses commanded for a heritage unto the congregations of Jacob. That one thing that was commanded for us to do was to observe the Sabbath, man. That's a huge thing, a part of our heritage, man, because observing the Sabbath, what do you have to always observe as an Israelite? The Passover. So it all just ties back up into each other, man. But y'all brothers want to say anything?
That's good enough.
Yeah, no, I hope this lesson was edifying. Again, we want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles of the great millstone who rule well and righteously, who taught us this truth through the Spirit, and salutations to the brothers pushing this word to the four corners of the earth, waking up the elect and the 1/3. Shalom.
Shalom.